write in your book that you quote Chekhov, who once said himself, "I don't have what you'd call a philosophy or a coherent worldview, so I shall have to limit myself to describing how my heroes love, marry, give birth, die, and speak." Is that what you've tried to do?
Yeah, well, I guess I don't really write songs from a particular point of view, or you know, we change from song to song. That's what I'm saying. So, or I don't know where, I don't know usually when I start a song where it's going to end up. So, I guess follow those characters around, a bit like you did. Yeah.
You mentioned some of your literary heroes, or Khalil Gibran, and there was Herman Hesse and Rimbaud and Baudelaire, but what about, and many others of course, but what about your early musical heroes? Who were they?
My first sort of, I guess, my first sort of really musical heroes were trumpet players, because I played trumpet from about the age of 12, and I got interested in the trumpet because my sister went out with a trumpet player, and I looked up to this guy, and he brought around some trad jazz records, some English, Kenny Ball, the trad jazz trumpeter, also Al Hurt, New Orleans guy, and some Louis Armstrong and the Hot Five, and the first time I heard Dixieland jazz, I just blew my head open. You know, I just thought, how are they all playing all differently, but they're still sort of making a sound that works. So I love that music, and that's why I wanted to play the trumpet. So I played trumpet through high school, and also got right into Herb Alpert, the Tijuana Brass. I loved The Lonely Bull and El Lobo and Maine. So yeah, it was mainly that trumpet music for a while. That was the first music that I would turn the lights off, turn the stereo on, put the record on, turn the lights down, lie on the floor, and imagine it was me.
And that was before Dylan and the Beatles?
Oh yeah, way before. Yeah. Oh, the Beatles were always around. I do remember hearing the Beatles, probably, 63, 64. I can remember I Feel Fine, and hearing that for the first time, it just sounded like music from outer space. I guess, but I wasn't, at that stage I wasn't thinking that was anything that I could do. And was the trumpet where, I was playing trumpet, and I heard this music with the trumpet, and thought maybe I can get from here to there.
And you also mentioned in your book, and it's interesting to note how much you admired Frank Sinatra. He was a big influence on you.
Yeah, later on, I guess, when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I probably didn't pay much attention to Frank. I thought, there's a whole lots of other music. I was digging in pretty deep to lots of folk music and blues, and I sort of got to Frank later. Maybe Frank is sort of like something you get to Frank like you get to blue cheese, or you're getting old when you start listening to jazz. Anyway, then I just started to listen to him, and listened to him ever since. He's just, I think if you're a singer, and again, when I first started, I was just trying to, I was writing songs, and then someone had to sing them, so I sang them. So it wasn't until I, did a lot of singing that I got sort of a bit more interested in singing as something in itself. So, and if once you try to get better as a singer, then I think most singers at some point, it's very good to study Frank, because he had it all. He had beautiful, all the technical stuff that people talk about, the long breath and the voice like a horn. But But lots of singers have that. He had something else. He had a real sort of knowingness. He was tender and tough at the same time. His one song swaggered, the next song staggered. You know, he was sort of a walking, wounded, knowing man walking through the world. Frank.
You pay lovely homage to him in this book. Is there a section here that you could read for us?
So I did write a whole chapter where I wrote about Frank in the book, and I was particularly focused on a record called In the Wee Small Hours, which is one of my all-time favourite records. So I'm not going to read the whole chapter because it's quite long, but in the writing before the bit I'm going to read, I've just been talking about In the Wee Small Hours and Frank's comeback from his night at the Crossroads. I mean, Frank Sinatra was a star, a big sort of, almost like a teeny bopper star in the late 40s, and then he sort of was considered all over, washed up over the hill in his early 30s. So and then he had a comeback, and ever since then, he's never gone away. But this is the night he died. So you lie in the dark on the night of his death, listening to Frank singing Glad to Be Unhappy and I'll Never Be the Same and all the songs between, and you enter a wondrous church of conjuration. Frank is praying to his icons. He summons up his pictures of worship and, like the old-time fasting saints, surrenders to ecstatic visions. Deep in a dream, the walls of his room fall away, and the smoke from his cigarette becomes a staircase for his lover to descend on. Even when his cigarette burns him, he feels no physical pain, such is his trance-like state. Deep in a Dream is followed by I See Your Face Before Me, and further along in another hallucinatory song, his beloved dances on the ceiling as he lies in bed. You lie in the dark as Frank sings of loss and try to pay attention to all the little exquisite details, the way the rhythm section drops out temporarily in the title song, leaving us with floating strings before the voice comes back in. Frank's playing with the melody in Mood Indigo. His 11 knows when he restates the opening lines, the burbling muted trumpet breaking loose from the horn section before rejoining. But after a while you find yourself drifting off and thinking about your own life and all its losses, how life over time is simply a series of losses, loss of parents, of friends, of love, of possibilities, loss of innocence and your children's innocence. The knowledge that you'll never be able to sing like Frank is another kind of loss. You never even get close. And Frank will never sing Winter Coat, the song you wrote to conjure him. It was always a long shot, getting longer by the day, but now that tiny daydream is forever snuffed. Loss's sphere grows wider now, and included in it is all possibility. You reflect on all you've missed, how much of your life you've forgotten, how much has streamed by you, how paltry the haul in your little net. There are the books you haven't read, the ones you've read but don't recall, the history you don't know, the languages you haven't learned, the music you haven't heard, the songs you haven't written, the things you wish you'd asked your parents, the hugeness of the world, the tiny fraction of it you've gleaned, its sadness and suffering and deterioration, the friendships you didn't have with people you admired, that beautiful stranger you saw on the street the other day who you'll never know. Still, you lie in the dark. Frank has sung every permutation of unrequited love. He's covered the classic kiss off, can't we be friends? He said he'll wait round till she breaks up with a new guy. He's looked ahead and seen himself growing old alone. He's sung about the pleasures of melancholy. The entire record, in fact, luxuriates in sadness. It dawns on you that there's one permutation he's avoided. Not one song expresses anger. Deep hurt, yes, but not the rage that hurt can engender. There's resignation, yearning, and a glimmer of hope. Every song is bathed in love. This love of mine goes on and on is the very last line you hear as the album ends. The torch will never go out. You get up off the couch, refreshed by tears, thankful for Frank, and drained the last drag of whiskey, 48 minutes older, and glad somehow to be sad.
You've become a much, much better singer in my estimation over the years. From when you started out in the 70s and early 80s, your voice is actually much, much richer. How much good instruction did you take from your grandmother on that? And can you tell us about your grandmother?
My grandmother on my mother's side was a singer, like both her husband, Urkelay, and Anne, both opera singers, and she was singing well into late 80s. And she heard me singing some of my early songs, and I think she was appalled. She told me I wasn't producing my voice the right way, and I'm sure I wasn't. So she gave me, a few tips on pushing the diaphragm out, and singing through the head, or getting your head to resonate, which is the part of the bel canto style. So I don't think I've ever quite got. Yeah, she was concerned that I was, that my voice wouldn't last if I didn't produce it properly. And she also, gave me probably the best advice I've ever had for nerves before a show. She said, if you're nervous, just breathe deeply, concentrate on your breathing, and take deep breaths. And I found that very useful ever since.
There's a lot of faith in your family, wasn't there? I mean, Catholics on both sides, Italian Catholics on your mother's side, and Irish Catholics on your father's side. So as you say,
a double whammy.
Double whammy. Catholicism. And you write about your mother, that when your father died when he was 52 in 1968, your mother never remarried, and for 32 years until her death, or after his death, she would talk to him. She never doubted his place in heaven. And I think she said to you, if I get to heaven, it's John first and God second. Yeah. Do you have you carried a sense of faith from your days as an altar boy in a deeply faithful family like yours?
No, I don't have it. I don't. She had a very heaven and the saints and Jesus, they were real people to her. She when there was a saint for every occasion. So if pray to Saint Anthony if you lost something.
Yet your songs are so filled, rich, often with biblical references. Gathering Storm and Glory Be to God and 48 Angels. I mean, there's an endless list of songs. You keep going back to the Bible. It's not through faith; it's through what is good storytelling.
Well, I guess it's a lot of things. I mean, it's the language of the Bible, the King James Bible, which is now the 400th anniversary this year that the publication of the King James Bible, and I think it's had more influence on the English language than any other book ever written. Again, I think as singers want to be serious about singing and study Frank, if you want to, help your poems or your songwriting, go to the Bible. And there's fantastic poetry in there. So that's been, obviously, I like the language of the Bible. The stories, grew up with a lot of the stories. It's what I grew up with. And, always sort of tend to go back or draw on the things that sort of got into you at a young age that you didn't even know were getting into you, but they're in there. So I can't do anything about it. It's just I'm stuck with it. But as far as all the other stuff about God and someone trying to have a plan for us. I just don't buy that at all.
So a song like Meet Me in the Middle of the Air, was that a reference to your mother's kind of conversation with your father for 32 years? That she knew she was going to meet your father at some point in heaven?
It could be. It's very good.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, as a reward for getting it right, can you sing that song, please?
Meet me in the middle of the air. That's an old phrase. In my time of dying, don't want nobody to mourn. All I want you to do is take my body home. Well, 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 so I can die easy. Well, 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 so I can die easy. Jesus gonna make it my dying baby. Meet me, Jesus, meet me. Meet me in the middle of the air. All I want for you to do is carry my body there. Well, 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 so I can die easy. Well, 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 so I can die easy. Jesus gonna make it my dying baby. So, I am your true shepherd, I will lead you there. Beside still waters, come and meet me in the middle of the air. I will meet you in the middle of the air. I will lay you down in pastures green and fair. Every soul shall be restored. I will meet them in the middle of the air. Come and meet me in the middle of the air. Through the lonesome valley, my rod and staff you'll bear. Fear not death's dark shadow. Come and meet me in the middle of the air. Oh, I will meet you in the middle of the air. With oil I shall anoint you, a table shall I prepare. Your cup will runneth over. I will meet you in the middle of the air. Oh, come and meet me in the middle of the air. In my house you'll dwell forever. You shall not want for care. Surely goodness and mercy will follow you. Come and meet me in the middle of the air. Well, I will meet you in the middle of the air. Come and meet me in the middle of the air.
Paul, you quote William Butler Yeats in your book, who said that the only things interesting worth writing about are death and sex. You've written about God and love, but you come back to death and sex. And I was looking for a song that might actually live up to Yeats's credo. And the one I found was Right Out of My Head. I'm going to fuck her right out of my head. I'm going to jump from bed to bed. Sally, Sonia, Sophie, Sue. I ain't met them all yet, but I'm planning to. What did you mean?
Doesn't need any explanation.
What about Pussy Got Your Tongue?
Yeah, that's a woman talking to a man when he's come home and he's been playing around. So she says, "Pussy got your tongue," because he's got nothing to say.
Moving right along, that wasn't obviously a biographical song, it was obviously some other character. Would you like to just read? I think it's just great sort of stream of unconsciousness in that.
Oh, no.
No, you don't want to read that? No? Okay. You've actually written probably more love songs than anything else, and you said, again in your book, that you wanted to write modern love songs in a kind of, in the tradition, I suppose, of Raymond Carver, or in that mean, lean kind of prose. What were you trying to do were you trying to rework the love song, or what was your motivation there?
Yeah, when you talk about motivation, I don't think it's that, writing songs is not that really that conscious about this is what I'm going to do. It's more when you look back on things that you've written and you think, mate, it's more than that's when you sort of talk about maybe what you're trying to do. You don't really know what you're trying to do until you're sort of in the middle of it all. So, but yeah, I was conscious early on of because I would try to write sort of boy-girl songs, or man and a woman, a straight love song, and I had this tendency to just that other people crept into them. So it wasn't always just a man and a woman. Often it was a man and a woman and a friend, a man and a woman and her friend, or both of them, or there was children, or there was exes, or there, so that just seemed to be just sort of my natural bent. I mean, that's what it sort of is like, generally in life anyway. It's not, you get together with someone and you take on their friends, their parents, their family, their exes, their children. So that's just how, that's sort of, I guess I wanted to stay true to that.
I mean, it's just a beautiful passage here. You say, I wanted to write modern love songs, sing all kinds of love, old love, young love, complicated love, happy love, sad love, carnal love, yearning love, hanging on love, hanging in love, out of control love, love gone wrong, love pretty right, love between friends, love among families, love of home, love of the unknown, love of clan, love of enemies, love of drinking, love of oblivion, love of pain. Have you done that all?
Did I say love of body surfing in Byron Bay?
Is there a song about to come, is there? The other area, I mean, there's so much to cover here with you, Paul, but there's another area which I think we couldn't not look at, and that is how you've been influenced by Indigenous Australians and how you've often worked with them, collaborated with them. Kev Carmody and Archie Roach, just to name two prominent ones. Can you tell us how they've influenced you?
Well, different people in different ways. Kev Carmody, I first met in probably the mid-80s at I think a Rock for Land Rights concert. He just had a whole stack of great songs, poetic, political songs that were songs full of rage, but also songs that were hymns. He's just, he's a man that's been influenced me right from the start. When I met him, he's just the way he carries himself, his love of nature and the seasons. He's always trying to catch me out. He says, "What's the moon doing at the moment, Paul?" Because I probably don't know, and he'll say, "Well, it's halfway to waxing or waning or whatever the moon does."
It does wax and wane.
Yeah. So I love going up to visit him because he knows the bush and he's always great company. Bart Willoughby taught me how to play reggae properly. I used to first went to see Bart Willoughby play at the hotel at Melbourne, and we went, met him that night. This band, we all got together back at my place with guitars, and I was into reggae music, but I was I was chopping, doing the reggae chop, but I sort of was doing it sort of too fat and broad, like. And he said, you got to make it a little bit chinky. So I got that little chinky thing from Bart. So, every Indigenous person I know has had a background of horror in their lives. They've always had there's trouble in their families, often extended families. There's close relatives who've died, who've either suicided or drunk themselves to death, or died in a car accident, or good friends of mine who seemed hale and healthy have suddenly died of a heart attack. Most Aboriginal people I know live under a big load of stress, which is historic, caused by a couple of hundred years of history. So there are many examples of people I know that the way they carry themselves through their trials is probably the biggest thing I've taken. People like June Oscar and Patsy Bedford and Kutcha Edwards, and I could go on and on, but Archie Roach in particular too.
I'd like to ask you about Archie Roach, because that's a fantastic song of yours, Rally Around the Drum, and you discovered when you met him that he'd been a tent boxing man, or tent boxing youth in his youth. Tell us about that.
I can sing the song, or
yeah, I think perhaps just explain that you want to say how you met Archie. That's a long story though, how you met Archie, isn't it? So perhaps go straight into the song.
Yeah, I can just say quickly. We first found out about Archie singing on a TV show called Blackout, and then we booked him for a gig, and found out that he had lots of songs he'd written. So ended up working with Archie on his first record. And then when that came out, we did some touring together, and it was on one of these tours that we got talking back at the hotel room after a gig one night. We got talking about his days as a tent boxer, and he fought for I guess the most well-known sort of tent boxing character in Australian history is Jim Sharman, more known in New South Wales, but there's a guy operating in Gippsland in Victoria called Billy Leach, and he used to recruit his boxers offered to just go into a pub in Fitzroy and start buying a few rounds of drinks, and by the end of the night he'd have a few guys committed to joining him on the road. Archie's dad fought as a tent boxer under the name Snowball, so when Archie started fighting, they called him Kid Snowball. And they'd always set up, when they would set up the sideshows and the tents and everything, Billy Leach would bang a big 44-gallon drum, so let everyone know that the boxing was about to start. And it was a pretty good life according to Archie. He sort of enjoyed it. He said it could be pretty willing sometimes, because often they would have volunteers from the audience who would obviously try to fight the pro boxers, but often the country lads, the likely lads, were much bigger. Like my brother before me, I'm a tent boxing man. Like our daddy before us, traveling all around Gippsland. I woke up one cold morning, many miles from Fitzroy. Slowly it came dawning, by Billy Leach I was employed. Rally round the drum, boys, rally round the drum. Every day, every night, boys, rally round the drum. Hoisting tin pole and tarpaulin, Billy says now beat the drum. Rings out across the showgrounds, and all the people come. Then Billy starts calling, step right up, step right up, step right up, one and all. Is there anybody game here to take on Kid Snowball? Rally round the drum, boys, rally round the drum. Is there anybody game here? Rally round the drum. Sometimes I fight a G-man, yeah, we put on a show. Sometimes I fight a hard man who wants to lay me low. Sometimes I get tired, but I don't ever grouse. I've got to keep on fighting. $5 every house. Rally round the drum, boys, rally round the drum. Every day, every night, boys, rally round the drum. Like my daddy before me, I set him up, knock him down. Like my brother before me, I'm weaving in your town. Rally round the drum, boys, rally round the drum. Rally round the drum, boys, rally round the drum.